So back in 2019, I performed 2 extremely scary live sets with no sequencers. It was in Durham, North Carolina, one time at Moogfest, and then later that same night at one of my favorite arcades called the Quarter Horse. It was this weird idea that stemmed from DiBiase, who was telling me about Dakim using the delay on his SP404 as a looper. And immediately my mind went in a million different directions. And one that it for sure went in was that I had to try it, so I just dove straight in. And since then, I've never really explained how I did that with these 2 devices, and I still use this technique a lot today. And since then, I've also learned that you could do this technique on basically anything that has a delay. And I've even done just a set on only the Novation Peak synthesizer and its internal delay. I performed at NAMM for maybe 30 minutes on just Peak with no MIDI controller either, just the audition button. It was a little sketchy and crazy. And you know what? I'll show that later as well. But so today, let's learn how I do this technique where I'm kind of looping with the delay and adding things and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. It's really simple, but really powerful, really scary at the same time. And the setup's extremely simple. This is the setup I had at Moogfest. Essentially, you just need a sound source and some sort of a delay. And in this case, I'm using Circuit because I can look at all my samples here and play them immediately. So, right, they're all right here ready to go. And then when I'm shooting that over audio only into the SP404, I have our delay feedback up and then my time set to a bar. So I can say, right, put that in there and boom, now I got a loop going, right? And then I throw a kick. You gotta be careful when you mess up, it'll do that as well. Then you add some chords, right? Let's say, and now you got a little loop going, maybe a clap. Of course, it takes a little bit of warming up to figure out where everything is, or for example, on the synthesizer, which I'll show in a sec, doing like an ambient set is extremely simple. It's really easy to do. But once you're here, you can do some weird stuff like glitching out your loop, right? So just as a quick example, let me show you some probably crappy results just because I'm rushing through this part, but I want to dive deeper into what's actually going on and why the SP is really good at this and some other tips and tricks. All right, so tips and tricks. I like to play in the 120, 117, 124 BPM range, right? So whatever your BPM is, you're going to want to take that and just slice it in half if your delay has some sort of a tempo or a BPM to it, or you're tap tempoing it. Tap every other to give yourself a bigger delay buffer, because on the SP404 I only have 1 bar of delay time, which means if I turn our delay time all the way up and our feedback all the way up and I throw in a hi-hat or a kick, it's going to just give me that amount of time. I can't make any longer of a loop than 1 bar. And one reason why I really like the SP404 is because of that weird glitching thing that I was doing earlier. Watch. Check this out. Boom. And the reason it works really well on the SP404 is because it's always going to lock me into these different time divisions of whatever my BPM is. And when I'm changing them, it's not doing that like tape emulation digital delay where it's like beep, 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 and it's trying to whip it up a little faster or like stretching out the delay. That might be what you want, but in my case, that's not. And then because I'm able to go and say like we have half a bar here, and then it's going to play this, I can just mess it up and it always kind of stays rhythmic. And it's not doing any weird whipping or like pitch shifting of my samples, especially when I start putting some chords in here. Let this go a little crazy. Right? And then you take this and you just put a big kick on it. I always only put like 2 or 3 because I don't know where the tempo actually is, but here you can kind of hear we heard it and we found it. Another tip, say you're trying to do a loop like this, you don't ever want to put down 5 kicks because the next kick you're going to hit is going to be unquantized and you're going to get some weird phasing like this. Watch. See, I can't hit it perfectly on time, but here's another tip. Use your feedback to erase your delay buffer. So right when that double kick hits, I'm going to turn our feedback all the way down to erase it. Watch. Down. And it's gone. Now I can just fill it with like a chord. And boom, you kind of built something else in there going. Now, we have this, you can hear, our feedback doesn't quite go to infinite. The low end starts kind of disappearing after a long time. The high end stays there a lot longer, but it slowly washes it away into almost like a high pass filter. You can hear the kick is gone. So every now and then, what I end up having to do is turn our feedback down a little bit just to fade this loop out a little more and a little faster, because it's just looping it over and looping it over and looping it over. And this is basically the volume at which our loop gets fed back into the delay. See, it's going quiet now. So now I can add another kick. And then I'll lock that in. And now that that's locked in, I can add some more sounds. And this will start piling on top of the previous loop and kind of squashing it down a little bit. You'll always hear it. But again, you just kind of work this. And now that we have a louder loop, we can fade the volume down a little bit more and let the previous quiet loop get a little quieter. Let this loop get a little quieter. Right? And then add something crazy, I don't know. Now we sound like Soundstream over here. And then if I throw a big kick in this. This is nuts, right? Now, moment of truth, super scary. We're gonna grab our time knob and try to do something weird with it and pray that it comes out cool. Let's see. Oh, that was scary. Let's try again. Whew. Ah! Exactly why I love doing this. Couldn't do that in a million years if I were trying to do that in a DAW, right? Now, say I like this, I need to do this quick. I want to resample this as just a loop. I hit resample, record, pick a spot, and try to grab a perfect loop. Boom, we grabbed it. Now that loop is living here. I'm gonna launch this, turn gate off, turn loop on, and turn our delay off because we don't want our delay to keep delaying this new loop. Watch. Oh, here, I'll show you this first. I'm holding down remain. I'll just go and launch this here. In our delay, I'll turn our mix down. This is our delay buffer playing. This is the loop we got. Right? So this is still going. This is again our delay. Watch. I'm gonna say turn loop off. Launch this. Now this sample is playing this loop because I started perfectly, boom, and then stopped recording. That loop, I say perfectly, close enough, is gonna stay at that volume forever. And we can do whatever we want to this. Now we can turn on our DJ effects looper, right? Do your typical SP stuff. Or, I don't know, multi-effects. But again, it's just this weird, really, really complicated way to build a looper out of a delay. But where this really started to click in my mind as something that was really powerful was when I applied it to a synthesizer or just delays on internal devices where they had internal sound generation as well, because then you can start doing these weird ambient things. So I'm going to show you how I do this on Peak. Just give me a second. I got to set it up. All right, we got Peak now. Initialize patch. Important tip for me at least was when I did my routing, I wanted the delay to be first, then go into the reverb and then into the chorus. Typical fashion, your delay here. If you're in your effects menu and you go and look at your delay time, you have your what's called a slew rate. I set this to as low as possible because this is what causes the slew rate is basically the time it takes to change from delay time to delay time. So I set this as fast as possible because I didn't want a lot of that whipping weird digital sound that happens once in a while. Time mode, this is new. I actually haven't messed with this, but this is cool because when I performed, this wasn't on here, but this is going to change. We can just double or quad lo-fi, stretch out the amount of buffer that we have. But for now, we'll jump to it. But for now, let's mess with normal mode. And here, I just press audition, and you can already hear it's going there forever. If you turn your feedback all the way up, it's basically going to go forever. You can hear it's kind of changing and kind of shifting, right? It's doing its thing, that's fine. And then you have, of course, your sync button, which will sync this similar to the SP to different tempos. So when I did this live, what I ended up doing was turning all my oscillators down except for one, and then I built a kick drum sound, looped that, and then disassembled the kick drum sound so that it can just hold the beat for me, right? And then I used the other oscillators in different pitches to bring them in and out with the filter, and it's nuts. Here, I'll show you how I did it real quick. Let me build this kick drum real fast. So Audition, one. Okay, good enough for me. You're just gonna have to ignore all the clicking of the Audition sound. I'll try and click it a little quieter, but here it is. So our delay time, I turn our sync on, and let's set our clock rate. Right now it's set to auto. We'll just do internal, and I'll set it to 60, right? Again, we want something kind of slow, maybe ambient. I'll stick with 60. We'll do something a little more ambient, quotes, unquotes, don't hold me to it. Our level's up, our feedback's up. We'll turn our time to, let's just do 2 beats. There, it's in, right? Now, oscillator 1 down, oscillator 2 up, pulse width, filter down. We'll just empty this. And now we have some reverb. But this again is after the delay, so I can always remove it. I'm gonna initialize, or hit Audition. Okay, so what happened there was I forgot to change my amp envelope, but this is okay, that sounds fine. I'm gonna use that as a rhythmic element, and now I'm gonna jump down, turn our sustain up, filter down, volume down, halfway. That's fine. We'll go up to 3, build a chord, right? And then maybe I want a different wave shape. We'll just do buzzy, and I'll set this up to 7, and then Audition. There's some reverb on there. And again, we can move this for number 1. It's down really low. We can do something maybe harsh, right? We'll do deep. Resonance up, this down, but watch, I can turn our distortion down and our VCA gain down. So I'm gonna really resonate this and push it hard into the delay. Then you can glitch it out. Right. And it sounds like it's clipping because it is. I'm going to pull that back a little bit. And now it's just clipping on the internal DSP. Turn it up a little bit just so I can hear it more. And same thing. Watch this. We're going to build a kick again. Bring this down, let this all play out. Boom, boom, down, down, up, resonance up, this down, mod envelope 1. And now, I think I built the kick. We're going to say feedback down. And the feedback down is just going to start quieting our loop. There's some more resonance. I'm going to go a little farther on our time. you can do the same thing with noise. Watch. Really sharp. And then I'll go into bandpass. And now you got this weird little hi-hat in there. And then turn down oscillator 1, turn down our noise, turn down our ring. Oscillator 2 up. We'll go into pulse width again. Sustain up. Oscillator 3 up. And then try this. Low pass, resonance up, VCA gain up, distortion up. Go down an octave. Just pushing in there real hard. Now check this out. This is going to get really trippy. Remember those time modes? Watch this. It's half it. Just took the buffer. Boom. Pushed it into 2. And you can push this even further if you really wanted. But it gets weird because there's a triplet one in the middle and then the 4th. So you have to hit it fast. But those same tones and same notes live here, and we can put them back in. So if I build a typical chord, let's say 3, 7, and then 10, and then put them all at pulse width, or a pulse wave, whatever you want to call it, 8 and 8. Audition this. Resonance down, distortion down. Feedback down to lay this new delay on there. And same thing, the reverb can go on forever. So I'm trying to let that die down. And we can erase it as well. LFO1 to the shape, LFO1 to the shape. Rate of our chorus. Insanity. Speed this up. Quad lo-fi. Slow it down. We're going into chaos mode, right? This is the grand finale. Turn your overdrive up. There it is. This is just a resonating kick with a little bit of an envelope to make that kick sound. Bring the reverb reel back. Where are we? Time down for your reverb. Ah! That little we'll go into our pre-delay. Turn that up. Ah! Okay. Let's see if we can pull this off. Dog whistle. Careful. You don't want to kill people when you're playing live. But we can erase it. Or make it a little quieter. Put another kick back in there. A little bit of noise, a little bit of ring. Bring these down. Ah! Yo! I'm telling you. Audition button. That's it. How insane is this? This is insane. Volume's down. Hold audition, bring them in. Oh, right, our resonance is going off the charts. But hey. Chorus me up, baby. Watch this. I wonder if this will work. I'm going to set our routing into reverb delay chorus. I didn't really catch it. I was hoping that it would catch this weird and let that live on. Resonance down. Envelope down. Feedback down. Did it die out? Then you can press all these three at once. Where are we at now? This is insane. Again, we ain't clipping. It's just clipping in here. Overdrive. Reverb up. Level up. Turn your delay down. You grabbed it into the reverb time. Stretch it out. Another time. Let the car go crazy. You drop the mic that you never said a word into. Walk off. This delay technique is insane. You see how many ways you could play a delay. A delay is an instrument that you can use. You rock the feedback, move your time around, sync it up to something, right? There's absolute chaos between point A and point B, or I should say point A and point B. Everything in there could be whatever you want it to be. But there's a perfect start and a perfect ending. And that is the tempo. That's the loop that you're playing off of. And you can just go insane. I mean, that's how I performed live with no sequencers. and no MIDI controls, just an audition button. It's crazy. It's really fun. I suggest you just go give it a shot. It takes a lot of practice, but it's really dope. And shout out Dakim for even thinking of this wild idea. Link to DiBiase and Dakim's music down below. Please go check them out. Appreciate you, my friend. And until next week, you already know the drill. Share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace.